Welcome to the JP podcast.
Tom is the man.
I'm just joking. Year anniversary.
I'm Crystal.
Share. Welcome to the JP podcast. Welcome to the JP podcast. Welcome to the JP podcast.
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
Welcome to the JP podcast. I'm John.
I'm Tom.
And today we are at Swartz Foods.
And we're going to go meet Heather and see some of the freeze-dried meals and snacks.
Let's go.
Hi, come on in.
All right, we are here with Heather. Heather, thank you very much for allowing us to do this. Very excited. I know Tom's excited, but welcome to the program.
Thanks. I'm really glad to have you here, hanging out in the facility.
I know you guys got to see it in the intro as we walked in. It's a nice facility. She was showing us around and just a little bit of what she does here and how we got to be here today.
Well, first, I do want, because we were talking behind the scenes, and let's tell the difference. It's dehydrated. It's not.
It's freeze-dried, not dehydrated.
Sorry, we've been over this a few times with John now.
I feel like that's totally staying in.
First, let's talk about the difference. It's freeze-dried, not dehydrated. So what is the difference in that?
So they're very different processes. Like dehydration is you take a product, you put it on trays, and it is usually a higher temperature, and it just basically like air dries it with heat. Whereas the freeze drying, what it does is it's a machine and it's got like a drum. I think you saw it earlier. And it's under a very heavy vacuum. And then it freezes it down to sub-zero temperatures. And then as it warms it slowly in a much lower temperature, as the moisture becomes condensation, it sucks off to the outside of the barrel. So then by the time you're done, it's cracker dry. The texture is totally different. It stays almost the same appearance-wise. Like you can see in the freeze-dried ice cream sandwiches, they look the same as when they went in. So it just keeps everything in a nicer texture. It keeps most of the nutrients better. Not to say dehydration is bad. It's also way less expensive to dehydrate. Yeah. I mean, it's like a 16th of the cost, but it's just the quality of the product's not the same. Yeah.
You're slowly removing that water out of the product as opposed to just kind of ripping
just
it out.
Baking it out kind of. Yeah. You're just basically like baking it dry. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. The only experience I have with it is the MREs. I think the fruit cocktail is the only thing that was dehydrated.
Yeah, the MREs
or freeze-dried. Yeah. I don't even know what it was in the MRE.
Right. It was probably freeze-dried, I would think. Was it chewy or crunchy?
Real crunchy.
Then it was freeze-dried.
Yeah. It was okay. It was the Army, but
I mean,
and where were you eating this MRE at?
In the field, so
I bet it was delicious.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. So I wanted to talk about how you got started in all this. How long have you had this business, and when did it come to?
We can do like the abbreviated version because I know that a lot of people have probably heard a lot of the story, but so I've always like dehydrated before, because I was doing it at home because we'd do outdoorsy things and I would make my own food. But then I went with my friend on a trip and we were sharing food and hers was, freeze dried, and it was so expensive and not enough food for two people. These were supposed to feed two people and they were ridiculous. There was like no food in there. I was like, we're going to eat each other. It's going to be horrible. Somebody's going to die. But so then I decided I could do better. I was like, I've been in culinary things since, forever. So I can do this. I can make food. So I did a lot of research and figured everything out, got a lot of money, and then, just started doing it. And we probably, I'd say probably like almost 2 years now. So, and it's really grown rapidly because, we used to just sell t-shirts at gun shows. And then I was like, oh, we can do this, and everybody's like, yeah, sure. They were either super supportive or absolutely not at all supportive. That was that. But the supportive ones were like, yeah, we can totally make this happen. And then, we just started doing it.
So it stemmed from a camping trip where you just were like, I could probably do this better.
About the snacks. Yes. Right.
Oh, that's pretty
right.
cool. Huh?
Well, because I don't know if you've ever eaten like any freeze-dried food that's out there now. And I mean, there's a ton of brands, but like it's either you get a ton of food and it's not that great, or you get a little tiny bit of food and you paid like $12. And me and you were supposed to share this. Yeah. And it's like a cup of food. And I'm like, after you've hiked like however many miles or whatever it is you've been doing, these are outdoorsy things. You're doing something that's a lot of exertion, you know? And then you're like, here's your little cup of food, and you're just like mad. Yeah. Because you're starving. Yeah.
Now I'm hungry.
Right. And then you're like digging out all your snacks out of your bag that you had, for other days. But yeah.
So then you got started into it? What did you purchase your first?
Oh, man. I bought two. Right out the gate. Because I'm like a go big or go home kind of person. I just dive into things. Because I don't know. I'm crazy. But so I decided that I was going to, I did a bunch of research because I was like, is this even feasible? Because I don't want to spend all this money if it's not going to make any sense. So I started like costing stuff out, figuring it out, watching videos, whatever. I researched like the commercial freeze dryers, and they're insane. They're like 50 grand, 30 grand, So I was like, that's not today. Yeah. Maybe someday, but not today. So then, I did that, and I figured out that it could work. And I was like, okay, we can do this, this is doable. And then I got some money, which I think it was the first round was like $9,000 for those two machines. And it was terrifying, because I had to get a building too. Because in Ohio, you're not allowed to do this out of your house. Like some people do, and good for you. I'm not trying to throw shade, but like if the USDA finds out, or with the health department, they're going to shut you down. Right. You have to do it out of a facility. So then, and mind you, I don't have money coming in. I have no business. I have no whatever. So I had to rent a building, which we're here now, and finding that and setting that all up and signing the lease, and it's all makes very horrifying. Yeah, because it's so much money. Because, this is not free. I got to pay every month the bills, the utilities, whether or not we sell anything. So, I mean, there was some nights where I was having panic attack real bad, where I was just like, the palpitations, and you're like, did I make the wrong choice? Because I'm trapped. You got a lease, and you've got like all this machinery that no one's going to really buy at the price you bought it for. Yeah, but it was a lot.
It's really gambling on yourself. Oh God, at that point, you're officially gambling on yourself.
Oh yeah, and a bunch of your friends are like super supportive. Like I said, I had some that were like, you got this. You're good at things. You can do this. And then there was other friends that were like, you shouldn't have signed a lease. They were like, why would you spend all that money? Why are you doing this? They were like, you've got a good job. What's wrong with you? And I was like, this is the dream, though. Yeah, to eventually be rich and just travel the country selling snacks out of a Winnebago.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Right. All over the country,
Heck yeah.
But yeah.
And what was your background before? What were you doing before you started all this?
So I've always done food of some sort. Okay. So I started doing that when probably back in like 95 is when I started. I mean, technically I worked at a snow cone shop in like 92, but that wasn't really the dream. It's kind of frozen. But yeah, so I started doing that, and then I started restaurants, and I worked a lot of different food service facets because like I wanted to see what all of them were like. So I mean, I did fine dining, which I hated a lot because everybody was really douchey. And I was like, and I'm not saying everybody in that is, but the ones that I met, I was like, hey, I'm good on this. This isn't fun because I'm all about the fun. Yeah. And I did like a prison for a while, and I did like institutional. That was not that great either. Yeah. But surprise, working in a prison wasn't great. But so I did that, but I did food service and then restaurants and like more casual, like fast service typey things for a long time. And then around 2015, I was like, I'm really getting tired of this. It was probably before that, because that was when the action plan went into play. Because I was like, I just need to get out. Because, restaurants aren't forever. Yeah. You get tired. It's a young person's game. So then I started doing food brokering, which is basically like I'm just a middleman, and I represent clients for all kinds of food service-y things. So like hotels, restaurants, whatever. And I show them my products that I represent. So I did that. So yeah, all the foods. I went to Pennsylvania Culinary for my associate. So and I got my bachelor at Kent State University and my master's at Ashford for organizational leadership, all culinary hospitality things. So
Yeah, you're coming into this with
Oh yeah,
with some
I'm aware.
stuff. Yeah.
Right, I'm aware of what's happening in the world.
It's not like you just say, I'm a good cook. You know?
Yeah.
Right, I can run a
so.
business.
I think I like it
Right.
before I can do this.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
People do that all the time.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So a lot of that does go into the products that you're making,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yeah.
it's not like, hey, I'm gonna make this and then I'm gonna freeze dry it, and then when you're doing something on a bigger scale, things change, recipes
Yes,
change.
yes.
So it's not like, hey,
Right.
I'll just I'm making 4 times bigger, I'm gonna times it by
Right,
4. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, once you get the recipe set, it does. But like, we have to test everything because like we tried different pasta because different pasta doesn't freeze dry the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, Barilla is the one we use. A little shout out to them. We love Barilla, but we
What about
use
the
them.
pasta shape itself? Does
That too. Yeah,
varies too?
that's huge because like think about once you freeze dry things, they get very brittle, like little crispies, So then if you have like really thin pasta to begin with, it won't hold up as well. That's why some of them wouldn't work because the pasta was thinner to begin with. So once we freeze dried it, it was just like dust. Yeah. Because then you got to ship, we ship them all over the country and then they get beat up in transit. And then it's like you get a bag of brittle, like, dust. And then you're mad because you can't eat that. It's like slush,
It turns into a porridge.
Right. And then you're sad because you're like, this was supposed to be macaroni and cheese. And now it's just like
cheese porridge.
Right. Yeah, it's like
Random question.
So what were you? What was your first venues that you were showing this?
Gun shows.
Gun shows.
Gun shows all day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. I've only been to one gun show, but I haven't seen.
Oh man, there's so many.
Yeah.
It was a lot of education because we had to teach them why they wanted our products.
Okay.
Because everybody wanted MREs, right? Everybody wanted MREs. They're like, MREs, that's what you do.
Yeah.
We're in the gun show,
Yeah.
And I'm
Makes
like, all right,
sense.
sure. But then I started showing them like, I talked to you a little bit about this the other day, but it was like, how much does an MRE weigh? Fun fact, they weigh between 1 and 2 pounds each.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas mine weigh nothing. They're like ounces, a couple ounces. And that's a full meal. I mean, don't get me wrong, MREs have a lot more stuff in them because there's like little crackers and cheese and meats and all the things. But still, you can pack all of the things that match and it weighs significantly less.
Yeah.
So then I was like, and I have to teach them because they're all about like, I don't want to say like zombie apocalypse, but
survival.
they're more like end of days oriented in their brains. So I'm like, okay, so let's say you have to bug out and like leave. I was like, how many of those MREs can you carry? And they're just like, right. Because I'm like, you're standing there holding a case of them right now. Is it getting heavy yet? Where I was like, I can pick up hundreds of pounds of food in a tote.
Yeah.
And it's nothing,
And that extended period of time is going to be quadruple what you have in your MREs.
Yeah.
So you were just selling them at the gun shows, and
Yes,
then
yes.
were people asking like, "Hey, where can I get more of this?"
Yeah,
Or-
well, I was giving out the online. We have the online store. So I'm like, yeah, you can buy them online, blah. And then we actually started getting people that were like into it, like repeat customers. And they're like, oh yeah, we're totally, and then like message me online and be like, hey, are you going to be at, such and such gun show? And I'm like, we'll be there. And then like, can I get a special order ahead of time? Because I really want this item. Like the one guy really likes orange chicken.
Yeah.
And it's like orange chicken with rice and veggies and stuff. And he's like, can I get some of those? Because every time I come, they're not there. And I'm like, I'll bring them with me just for you and put them aside. And he's like, all right. So that was cool. So repeat customers was fun. And then people are like, I can't remember who we met. Oh, it was the old school survival boot camp people. So somehow my one buddy had gotten hooked up with them and they wanted us to come there and do a booth. And I was like, all right, we can give it a whirl and see what happens. It was a very good move for us just because they were our people, They're like homesteaders and preppers, but like more like life preppers, like, we talk about prepping and it's like you should prep for normal things, not zombie apocalypse or like global collapse or whatever. Like, hurricanes, earthquakes, power outages, that kind of thing. So they're more those people. So we destroyed it there. Like we sold out everything we had. We actually left early Sunday because we were done. Wow. We had like some potatoes. Feeling, right? We had like a couple bags of potatoes and I was like, this is what we got. Yeah. Somebody's like, I'll take them. I was like, all right.
Yeah, because there's quite a shelf life with these. With the process. Actually, it was Steve, the prepper. We had him on the video, one of our first videos.
Good time.
I saw him in the morning one day after work, and he was like, "Hey, come here. You got to check out this
Swartz Foods.
Yeah, Swartz Food." And I was like, "What is it?" And he started explaining. And the one thing that stuck in my mind, he was like, "It's got a shelf life of 25 years." I was like, "What?
That's what he
How
told
can
us
that
first
be?"
time.
So I was like, and I started looking into it, and then when I was doing the research and watching videos you had, I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." So it's not just. My point is, it's not just the preppers you're targeting. You're trying to get into a broader, customer base.
For sure.
So I could see many applications having this.
On the way over here, I was even mentioning some of the stuff like, say you are in college and you don't have to have ramen noodles.
Right.
You could get you just pour hot, do you prep and pour your hot meal or your hot water and have a meal.
Well, also the price point, like I don't know if you guys eat fast food, but I was on the phone with my friend the other day and he was going through Wendy's, right? And he got like a sandwich, a side, and a drink. And it was like $15 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, $15 for that. And I'm not saying that anything against Wendy's, it's whatever. It's just but these, they're like $10 and you can share them. Me and my friend like split them. So I was like, everybody's like, "Oh, well, I don't want to waste them." But I was like, it's cheaper than fast food. I was like, just eat them. I get lazy and I don't want to make dinner. And like ramen, make this.
Instead of ramen, have like you said, the orange chicken and rice instead of ramen again. If I'm a college student, that makes sense to me.
And we have a good variety of things. I'm just,
I don't need a microwave on it. I just need a hot pot. Pour the water in, and I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are the different varieties you have? You got everything. I mean, we have ice cream here. My son had asked me. He was like, "Ask her if she's got ice cream," and I was like, "All right."
There's a strawberry chocolate ice cream, a chocolate chip mint ice cream.
We also have cookies and cream and vanilla.
And I seen the cheesecake in there.
That cheesecake is something.
That's what Steve was saying. He likes to eat it right out of the package itself without adding the
Well, a lot of
water.
that stuff you just eat. Like the snacky things, you just eat them. Like the strawberries, the bananas, the pineapples, and all that stuff, like we don't add anything to it. It's literally just fruit in a bag, which people like because, it's like a healthy snack. But and then I don't even know. We've got like the granola with the freeze-dried blueberries. We have some straight ingredient things, like we have just chicken, just potatoes, just eggs, and they're like raw liquid eggs, freeze-dried, so that way you add the cold water and they become eggs again, and then you cook them how you want them, because I think freeze-dried eggs are gross. Like personally, I just don't like them. Like when they're already cooked.
Already cooked, you see.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like the texture. And I'm like, this way you have more, ability to change it up. Because we were at a camp out thing. We were at one of our events and everybody was like kind of potlucking food, like the vendors. And somebody was like, "We should make French toast." And I was like, "I got eggs for days." Because somebody was like, "Oh, we don't have, whatever." Because you got to bring eggs. You got to put them in a cooler. You got to make sure you don't smash them, blah. But I was like, "I got the freeze-dried ones. You just add cold water, wait a couple seconds, we're ready, And then they were like, "All right." So we all made French toast. Somebody brought bread and,
How cool is that?
Well, it's cool like when you're camping and doing the things, or just out.
And a lot less, like you said, if I'm making eggs at a campsite, I need a pan, I need a bowl and a fork to scramble them. I need everything.
See, those are scrambled in the bag. You just got to cook them somehow. Or you could drink them if you wanted to, like raw, liquid, and rocky, because, they're pasteurized. So, and that was one of the things we made them pasteurized, because I was like, I don't want to deal with the food. The horn, whatevers.
What was the first thing you made? The very first thing you made when you decided to do this?
Candy. We made so much candy.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, because we wanted to, we wanted all the candy. Milk duds were outstanding.
Freeze-dried.
Oh my
milk
God,
duds?
they were phenomenal. So they get like so big because I didn't know. You don't know what's going to happen. You just throw crap in the freeze dryers and see. Yeah, that's what we did a lot. So we did that with the milk duds, and they get like this big, and they turn into like a crystalline structure. It's almost like if cotton candy was crispy and firm. Yeah, but the only thing is they don't stay because the chocolate, fun fact, chocolate won't freeze dry ever because of the fat content. So then eventually it just remoisturizes and it gets soggy. But if you eat them pretty quick, it's totally worth it. Yeah, the Junior Mint thing, same thing. The chewy Junior Mints, they get real big and puffy. My friend loves them a lot. She gets excited. But yeah, we just did a ton of candy, like all kinds of crap, just to see.
And when you were doing the meals, were there a lot of, like, we're going to try spaghetti, and then you do like 20 different you know, like
right,
you see in the movies or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try
you got to
this.
try the different things because you
Right.
don't know what's going to work until you find out. Like after a while, you get used to it where you're like, no,
I bet this will
that
work,
like
or-
spaghetti noodles are no good because they just like get weird and stabby and break apart and they puncture the bags and things. So you don't do those. But yeah, so you learn certain things like where you're like, oh, I want to try a new thing, and I'm like, well, what are you trying to do? And then you give me the parameters, and I'm like, well, you can't do this or that, just because we know,
Yeah.
you know from experience. But yeah, and then the foods. I'm trying to think of what our first actual food was. Man, I know mac and cheese was in there, which
See, that sounds good as a prep meal that I can just get ready to eat.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Mac and cheese
Yeah.
sounds like a go-to
right,
for me.
and it's easy, and people are familiar with it. We try to do a lot more, like you know these things. You know they're familiar to you. You're not like, what is this? You know, because there are some freeze-dried food companies out there that have some wild stuff. Like somebody had a boar something or other, and I'm like, sure, but I think you're really narrowing your demographic there because like most people aren't going to buy that because they're like, that sounds weird. I'm sure it's delicious.
Not
but,
to mention out in the field, then try something new like
Right,
that.
yeah.
It's like, I'll just have the comfort food.
Right.
It's already
Yeah.
tough enough.
And I would definitely, if you're going to get into any freeze-dried things at home, I would buy and try before you're in this situation because they are not all created equal. Like we do testing where we'll get competitive product and we'll do a cutting, you know, like if we're going to do a new thing. So let's say when we wanted to do the sausage gravy with biscuits. Yeah. So oh my God, they were so gross.
The first few batches were
Well, like the ones that because I went and got everybody else's. So I got like, Mountain House, Trailtopia, whatever, Backpacker's Pantry. So you go buy all that crap and then you make it and try it. And I don't say crap like it's crap. I'm just,
it's
I don't want somebody to see this and be like, oh, she's throwing shots, no. Some of it was though, but anyway, but we were trying them, and I was just like, man. And then you kind of learn like, what does everybody else do? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? The texture was a huge thing for me because they basically put everything in a bag and then you dump boiling water on it. So what do you think happens when you dump boiling water on a biscuit?
Yeah.
Right. It's like a mushy. And the flavors were good, but it was like, so then you learn, we wanted to do it. We have like a wax food bag and we put the biscuits in it and then fold it up and put it in the bag with the gravy. So you take that out, you do the gravy and then you add it in and blah. Because then it's more texturally appealing.
Okay.
But yeah, so we learned by doing that stuff because I'd rather learn from their mistakes first. And then, it only cost me like, what, $30 or something? Versus making a whole batch and wasting time on the machines when we're like, we're not doing that like that. So
And it's nice just for that extra step that a company takes the extra step to go.
Oh, yeah, take
Even the
care.
biscuits are going to taste,
right.
good. It's not going to be your mushy
Biscuity.
out of a bag.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real meal that you can
Yes.
prep. I like that. Appreciate
And you're starting to get into different types of meals, meaning like I know one of my sons is a vegetarian, so you do have product as just vegetables or just something leaning towards that side.
Well, we do have, like, right now I think obviously certain things are just what they are. Like, strawberries are vegan naturally, you know what I mean? They're not, whatever. So we have plenty of things like that. We have one vegan meal. It's actually vegan with no animal anything. It's the vegetarian vegan chili, and it's really good for the record. But, and then we have a bunch of vegetarian options that have, like, cheese and stuff, whatever. And then we're working on some new vegan ones because that is a market that I don't think anyone caters to.
Right.
So, like, if you look at a lot of the freeze-dried food, there's not vegan
Yeah.
out there. They're growing by the day, and I'm not necessarily, whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a growing market for sure. And I was like, nobody's even trying to capitalize on that. And I was like, I'll feed them.
Yeah, and not to stereotype or anything,
Right.
but a lot of backpackers, and they tend to, you can see
Yeah.
the vegan lifestyle in
Sure.
that as well.
They tend to be more like, natural, holistic,
it makes
whatever.
sense. Throw it in the back and
Right.
go.
Yeah. And my one friend's vegetarian, and she still struggles to get stuff that she likes.
Yeah.
Because they don't make a lot of even vegetarian food. And everybody thinks you have to have meat to have protein, because that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying anything against meat, but I'm also like, you don't have to. But whatever.
What's your favorite product? Now, I know that it's hard to say this
Because
when
they're all my children,
they're all
right.
your kids. I
Right,
get it.
right.
We all have kids.
So-
we all have that favorite.
Right. The ones that I usually eat, because we eat this on the road, like, because we do our adventures, we go to various, I don't know what you call them, like events, I guess, outdoor events. And usually when I'm there, I eat my food because like they usually have food there, like food trucks, like carny food and stuff. I'm not really into that personally. Like I'm diabetic. I try not to eat the carny food because it's not good for me. Once in a while, but so I'll eat this stuff all weekend. And I usually give everybody the option that works the events. I'm like, you can eat this. I'll buy you food, whatever you want. And most of the time they eat my food. They might buy 1 or 2 meals and they're like, never mind, I'll just eat yours. And I'm like, right. But I usually do the beef stroganoff because I'm a big fan of that. It's so good. It's so good. It's like it's got a lot of mushrooms because I like mushrooms. But yeah. People always are like, well, which ones do you like? And I'm like, it's all personal preference. Like if you hate mushrooms, that's not going to be your jam.
Not going to be your favorite one.
No. You're going to be like, it's disgusting. Right. Because you don't like that thing. But yeah. No, they're all good. I mean, we actually go through a pretty decent process of testing. So I'll make the thing to the point where it works, because like you got to make the food, try the food, then freeze dry the food, then get it out, package it, and then rehydrate it and try it and see if it's still good. Because sometimes they're not. You think they're going to be, but then you're like, oh, this is a dud. And then we put them basically in like our preps hole, where it's like, we'll use them to barter or doomsday or whatever. It's cool. They're not bad. They're just not good enough, And then when they finally reach it's pretty solid, then we take it to the testing group where I have a bunch of friends that are like very diverse. Like some of them are foodies, some of them have kids, and we test it with the kids because, they make the money. Because you're going to buy what your kids want. That's what happens. You're going to McDonald's because they want to go there.
Yeah, if they want something.
Right. So that's why, you got to cater to them. But we'll have like our group test it. Everybody tries it. And as long as the majority of the reasoning that they like it or don't like it makes sense. Like if they're like, I hate mushrooms, well, that negates your vote, that doesn't count. But yeah, as long as everybody's into it, then we're like, and then it makes the cut and then it goes to production. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be putting up her links, and you have everything on your website there on all the different products you carry. But we're also going to be putting up your social media info up there. And we were talking about you do a class, and you actually show people how to do some of this.
Yeah,
stuff.
I teach these classes.
Are you still doing that, or
I was thinking that I need to finish this one coming up because I have one coming up in Indiana. And I can't think of the name of it right now, and I apologize, Rick. But I'll give you the names of the events we're going to be at, because there's one in Indiana that we're going to that I'm going to be teaching. It's like a 2-hour class because I'm going to be doing full food preservation. And I'm not sure how deep dive it's going to be, but it's at least going to be like, canning, freeze drying, dehydrating, drying in general kind of thing. And then I don't know how deep I'm going to get, if I'm going to get into like smoking over an open fire, but we'll see. Because 2 hours is a reasonable amount of time, because I did a class recently online with the freeze drying, and it was just freeze drying, and I allowed myself 50 minutes plus 10 for like Q&A, and it turned into 50 minutes of Q&A. So I mean, I was on there for like an hour and 40 minutes, and it was not bad, don't get me wrong, but it was just way more than I thought it would be. Because I figured 10 minutes everybody would be like, I'm out, it's late at night, right? But no, everybody was like, so what about this or that, or can I show you my thing? And I'm like, sure, whatever. But yeah, so I do that. I'm doing the one in Indiana. And then we're also teaching at the Gather Thing in September. That's actually what it's called. And that's in West Virginia. The Blue something State Park. Blue Mountains, I don't know, whatever. They'll figure it out if you Google the Gather Thing.
They can put it in the comments.
Right. I'm sure somebody will be like, Heather, it was totally good enough. I'm like, all right, sorry. I get tired. But yeah, so we're doing that there. And then I think that's the only 2 classes that I've got this for now. But I mean, I do like side ones where people ask me like, hey, can you come teach things? Like I'm teaching a sourdough bread class later today. So like how to make it from starter to finish.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a little play on words there. I didn't even mean to.
So I'm trying to figure out what I was going to say next. So
sorry.
No, it's not you.
I'm very distracting.
No, it wasn't. I laughed and then I forgot. It was good.
But yeah.
I remember. Oh, yeah, and then on your orders, we were talking about how you were getting orders from all over the country.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And you had some states that you were kind of hoping because you guys mark it in the back there on the calendar.
We have
right?
a map,
not a calendar,
Well, we have a map.
And a calendar.
Right. We have both. We do have both.
It's an office.
Right. We have all the things here. It's fancy. But
I'm going to edit that out.
Don't.
No, I think that was gold.
I'm just joking.
I would laugh. But so I know that the one that makes me the most irritable, honestly, is Michigan, just because I'm like, you're right there.
Yeah.
You're right there. Do you know how many times Hawaii has ordered? Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah. We've had at least like 6 or 7 orders from Hawaii.
Wow.
How
And
cool is
Michigan,
that, putting that
nothing.
on the box, though, from Ohio to Hawaii, and it's 2 years
and I was
later.
like, where did you come from?
Yeah,
How did you
how
even
did you-
find us?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre because Hawaii,
Yeah.
like,
And that's something we talk about, you know, a little behind the scenes for everybody. We talk about as well as for the podcastings. You never know where that little one meeting
knows?
may take. You know,
Right.
take you somewhere
Yeah.
or change something. You know, that one hiking trip where you got a freeze dried package that wasn't good enough. That changed everything.
Right.
It changed. You know, you never know.
it was funny because like, so we were doing okay with orders, you know, nothing huge online, like little bits here and there. And I mean, literally nothing big. Like our big money was coming from gun shows and outdoor events. So we met this guy, his name's Dietrich, and he is out of Kentucky. He has a store, it's called Ugly Tent. He's only open on Saturdays, but he's a lovely man. Really good guy, actually. So he came and he like interviewed us and did like a little video. And then he did a little review of our food. You know, he bought some stuff, took it home, did a little online thing. It was cool. Well, apparently this other guy follows him. All right. And Kenny's got probably, I don't know, like 30,000 followers or something, whatever. Well, this other guy that follows him has like 130,000 followers. And we knew nothing about any of this. The guy, his name's George, but he ordered stuff from our website. He just ordered like a little whatever. And then I was talking to my friend Patty, and she was like, and my phone started going off the Shopify because it makes like a little cha-ching noise, like a drawer, and it goes, and I'm like, oh, all right, we got an order. That's fun. And then we got another one, and another one, and another one. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I pop up the computer, and our site had like, I don't know, like 1,000 visitors that day. And I'm just like, what is happening? That's not normal at that time for us. So it was like, what is going on? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, hold on, because it gives you analytics and it's like, where's all this coming from? And then I go on there and it's like, I was like, it's from YouTube. I was like, did something happen today? Like at first I was like, did the government collapse or something? We just weren't aware, you know, because
People starting to prep
all of
out
a
of
sudden,
nowhere,
like
yeah.
all this food is like flying out of here, and I'm like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "It's YouTube," and she like looks us up on YouTube. She's like, "Oh, there's a review," and this guy did like a really nice review of us just for no reason, you know, and it ended up generating like thousands of dollars in sales. It was just crazy in one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, we're not prepared for this at all." Well, then I like G.I. Joe tracked him down, and I figured out which order was his based on what he showed, and blah blah blah. And then I reached out to him, and I was like, "Hey, thank you," you know, blah, and he was just very nice, you know. Just good guy. So I've mailed him some stuff since. I'm like, here you go. I was like, if you feel like doing a review or not, either way, enjoy. You're a good friend.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but like, and then other stuff has led from that. Like other people, you know, they're like, oh, I saw your thing. Would you come be on our thing? Would you come to our event? Would you this, that? And it just keeps like growing exponentially because you never know who you're going to meet. Mm-hmm. Like we met an ice road trucker guy at one thing.
Wow.
And he wants to like do some sort of private label stuff. We haven't gotten there, but you know, but it's just crazy. We also met, you know, like I met David Canterbury.
Yep.
I don't know if you're familiar. He's like, he wrote
Dual
Bushcraft
Survivor
101.
and
He's,
all that
Dual
stuff.
Survival, whatever. Mm-hmm. But we met him at Old School Survival Boot Camp, and he actually came over to our booth, and he was like, hey, why don't you come to my event? It's like next month, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sure, whatever, you know. And at that time, I didn't really realize, like, he was a big deal, you know. Sorry, Dave. But, sorry. But, yeah, so that was really cool. And then, you know, we've stayed in touch and stuff, and we're doing his event again this year, and he's been very cool, so.
That's awesome.
But you never know. Like, we've met so many people doing this.
And he actually started out of Ohio as well. He was born and raised.
Yeah.
So it's
He lives there in MacArthur, Ohio. So you
Well.
can stalk him if you want. Right? I wouldn't. He's not the one. He's not the one.
he's not.
Yeah, he's like Captain Survival. He'll probably kill you before you even got on his
Yeah,
property. But
He's probably already laying in the woods looking for
right, he's just waiting. Right.
something to do.
So I wanted to talk about the instructions are on here. It tells you
Yes.
exactly what the directions.
Yes.
So
And we've tested said directions, but feel free to adjust them if you feel like you need less or more water in your life.
remove O2 absorber and blah, blah, blah. It goes right down. And it's actually, everything's done inside here, right?
Yeah. And if you forget to remove the O2 absorber, just as like a PSA, it's not that serious.
Okay.
Like you can still eat the food, just take the thing out and throw it away. Just don't eat it.
Just don't eat it.
It's food safe. It's not going to hurt you. But one of my friends did it and he's like, I left the thing in there so I had to throw it away. And I was like, oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh man, I could have ate it. I was like, yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, spread the word.
It also has the Best Buy date on here as well,
Yes.
which, I mean, these are, this one in my hand is good until March of 2048.
Yeah, I got the same thing. Yeah.
So
2048. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. That's what I like about
I hope
it.
you eat it
know?
before then, but you know.
Yeah, but it's good to have in there and put in yourself because even, like cans and all that, a couple years, but I'm sure it goes a little bit past that. But
Yeah, canned food is
25
typically
years.
like tops like 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's on the
years.
high end.
That's crazy.
and now jump back on track. Now, cutting also the different types of careers that this is good for. Something
nice.
like we do,
Yes.
where we work 12-hour shift. We
Right.
don't have lunch breaks. There is no, hey, get up, go take an hour break. We
Right,
don't get
right.
to leave and go somewhere. We everything we bring is in our lunch box, and it's what
Right.
you're eating for the day. So for someone like me who doesn't necessarily want to stop at Subway every week or just constantly going and grabbing these foods,
Right.
bringing in something like this where you can, and we have
Yeah.
hot water tank, like you just pour it right out of the, we don't even have to heat anything up.
You know, I want to test that sometime and see if like those hot water spigots, you guys should
Are
take
good
something
enough.
with you and see. Because I don't know if it's hot enough because I don't know how hot they get. Because we use boiling water.
Yeah.
So it's like 212. And I think those are like $1.80.
I think a buck 80 is probably the highest is what I would
But
assume.
test
they are.
it, see what happens. Worst case scenario,
Not
but,
as warm.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
I didn't
just take
think
longer.
I didn't think about that at work. Like, cause at work I do have a locker and I keep these stored in there. And this is a pretty thick. It's not a thin.
it's, aggressive.
Yeah, this is not ripping easily.
No.
So this is something that can
It's
be in
very
a locker.
resistant,
And,
yeah.
and it's going to stay in there for a while.
Or like we were saying with the truck drivers, you mentioned the ice road
yeah.
trucker, and then also you
Right.
have these. As a truck driver, if I'm pulling off the side of the road,
Well, we had a
all I
lady
need.
buy them for her son because actually it was not that long ago. Remember when that freak snowstorm happened over in, what was it, like Nevada, I want to say?
Texas.
Something, yeah, it was over there. But he was like one of the truckers that was trapped because they couldn't go anywhere because places over there, they're not Ohio. They're not ready for snow. They don't
Right.
understand it. They don't have salt trucks. They don't have plows. They don't have things.
Right.
So you just sit there. Well, he had his truck and he was like just trapped there at like a stop for days. And she actually bought one of our, we do a bulk buy bucket at events. So it's like a sampler bucket sort of.
Yeah.
And she bought one of those for him and then he could just throw it in his cab and take it with him. And he was pretty excited about it. So I was like, I'd like some feedback, thank you. But I was thinking people like that, they should totally do this. And I'm not saying this would completely replace what you eat now, but it would offset. Especially, I've driven all over the U.S. for the most part, and some places there ain't no food. Like all you got is fast food, which again, it's whatever. I get it, but like I don't always want that. So this would be something that maybe, hey kids, let's do this instead.
Absolutely. Yeah, you would just need a heating source for water.
Sure.
And I'm sure they got plug-in types or little butane or even the little candle, little things that you can heat
like
it
the
up with.
Sterno Inferno.
Yep, Sterno. And it's all it's all good. I mean,
Right.
it just so many things are coming, to my mind. Like,
Right.
man, I could put one in my car. I could have
Sure.
it in my closet, or I could have it in my cabinet. I could put it over here.
You take it to work. Like I'm in sales, my day job, and we're driving around all the time. All over the place. We're driving all day long, and sometimes, again, you get tired of the same crap. You don't want to always eat Wendy's or McDonald's or blah. You want something else, and sometimes it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Like Panera costs a fortune. It's delicious, but Lord, for one person, it's like $20
That's
now,
yeah.
right? So. Yeah, but I think that we definitely fit a lot more than just like the camping and the doomsday preppers. Not to say that I don't love them,
Yeah.
because they definitely keep the wheels going. But
And it makes sense. Like once again, this all makes sense for that lifestyle and that, but it also makes sense for someone who needs it for a lunch. It makes a perfectly good lunch.
or you're just tired and lazy at night and you don't want to cook. Like I will get home after a long day and I'll throw boiling water in there. I'll jump in the shower. I'll do the things, shake it up, whatever. Get in the shower. I get out. My meal's pretty much ready.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like I didn't have to do anything.
Yep.
I literally did nothing.
Put on your show and start
Right,
eating. That's
right,
it. Yep.
exactly. Sometimes it's a long day, but yeah, I'm saying don't be afraid to eat them at home. I do.
Now, as far as your online order, there's, I'm sure you have a minimum. Do you have a small starter kit or anything?
We don't have any minimums. You can
No?
buy like one thing if you want to. Like you could buy literally like an ice cream sandwich and we'll mail it to you. You're paying for the shipping,
Pretty good.
but
Yeah.
I mean, I'll mail you an ice cream sandwich, whatever.
And you mentioned the bucket, but you have boxes there too. You have all kinds
So
of
we're
things.
working on a sampler pack now that would be like a bulk buy of just like this that you can buy online. We're not going to do the buckets online because like I'm not mailing a bucket. It's horrible, the shape and the weight and everything. But I would do like some sort of bulk buy, which I will probably get that wrapped up in the next couple weeks just because like it's showtime and we need to get it done. Because we get a lot of residual orders from shows. So, you know, like we went to North Carolina, we went to Georgia, and I mean, we still get people ordering from down there, you know?
Definitely.
And they're like, hey, how's it going? Like, there's a really nice couple that are out of the Carolinas, and they buy a bunch of stuff. They're pretty lovely. But yeah, you get to meet a lot of really fun people on the road. Everybody that helps me with this gets really excited when it's time to travel because they're like, I can't wait. I'm like, yeah.
All the different types, too. It's not just...
It's so many people. Like most of these events, I mean, it's thousands of people that go there, you know, and you get to meet all kinds of them. And they come and talk to you. And there's also people that do freeze drying themselves, and they want to talk to me about all the things. And I answer questions like all day about it. So it's really fun, though. It's nice, especially if you guys are ever, you know, in Vinton County area, which is like half an hour south of Columbus. That's where two of our events are. Those are like the closest ones.
I don't get out that way, but I'm gonna
It's the middle of nowhere.
When I was doing the research, I was seeing that you were here. I was like, I'm gonna have to go to one of these places.
They're really fun, especially those ones because they teach classes and it's like all kinds of lifestyle things, like learn how to, I don't know, start a fire with like flint, you know, or whatever. So like one way, I took a basket weaving class. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
It's pretty fun. But yeah, they do all kinds of stuff. There are some that like teach you how to fabricate animals, just FYI, like from start to finish. Wow. So that might be a thing for some people.
Yeah,
and I'm saying from start, like it came walking in.
Yeah, that's something I want. I'm not big into it because I can go to a grocery store, but I want to learn. It's something I need to learn to do.
Yeah, it's very educational. It's not like trashy. It's very like professional. It's not like they're just like woo, you know. No.
Then if you're willing to consume the product, there's a way that product got to you.
Right.
Every way. You know?
Right, but some people, you know, we just tell like certain people like don't go over to that area during these times of day, you know, because that's when they're doing that. Unless you're into it, then go check it out. But you know, but anyway, but they do a lot of fun classes and stuff. So these are like doing things events. So you're not just like shopping. And then some of the other vendors are amazing. They're all people that do, for the most part, it's like handcrafted things, you know, and they're very supportive of others. There's like leather workers and metal workers, and there's like a guy where you can go forge stuff with him and like make your own axe or whatever. Yeah. But no, it's pretty cool. I'm just saying if you guys ever feel the urge, but.
And we're going to be putting you on, or putting up the different platforms that you have. But you're on You're on Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram, YouTube, and I think that's it right now. I mean, I'm personally like on LinkedIn, but I don't know that Swartz Foods ever will be, just because I don't know that it's necessary.
Right.
But yeah, and I don't know. I don't think that there's any other, like Snapchat's weird for Swartz Foods. I can't think of any other ones that make sense for us.
Those are your basic ones.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm on. And then Twitter.
TikTok. Sorry, we TikTok sometimes.
You TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't TikTok.
We're working on our TikTok. Not that hip, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll be putting all that up, you know.
Right.
We'll have all your links and everything like that. And of course, your website, which I have yet to go onto your website.
Really?
Yeah, I did everything, but I thought about it when you were talking.
There's pictures on there of us at our adventures.
Wow.
Like one of them, we're throwing axes. Yeah. So we're pretty legit there. Gives us a little street cred.
I'm going to have them put that up as we're talking.
Yeah.
You know,
because there's pictures of us doing things at these events because you get to do stuff. Yeah. And I try to encourage all my people that come. I'm like, go do things. Yeah. Don't sit in the booth the whole time because it's draining. Like 3 or 4 days of doing that. Like. You guys do this. You do the podcasting and you talk, you know, and it's like an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, right? Imagine doing that for like 8 straight hours, 3 days in a row. It's very draining. Yeah, so I'm like, go play, go do things. You know, figure out how to fix a Coleman lantern, whatever. You know. But yeah, but no, the events are fun. Our stuff is all there. The website has our blog as well, which I post like, I don't know, during the summer a lot more because I post what we're doing, our events, you know, and then I put up pictures of what we did and things like that. During the winter, it gets kind of laggy because, you know, unless somebody can come up with some really cool events that we could do during the winter months, I got nothing because people don't do a lot winter things. Yeah. Winter camping isn't that big, at least here. Maybe
not around
like
here,
the West. I don't know. We'll see.
Midwest, somewhere where it doesn't get below a certain temperature, I would see that. Not here, though. It gets a little too cold.
So, was there anything like fun you guys wanted to know about freeze drying, or any thoughts of things you'd like to see coming out? But yeah, so we're doing that. That has to get up on the website. It'll probably be up there by the time this airs. But we did the worms, the gummy worms from the trolley ones, because they're like the Sour Patchy type, whatever. So we did berry, and then we also did the regular sour ones. So those are new. And then we're working on the peach rings still, but yeah, they're getting there. They get really big and crispy. So, yeah, more of the candy stuff, just because, you know, people really like it, especially during the summer. And it brings the kids. Like, they get crazy.
And it leans towards it not just being a prepper meal. That's a snack.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That's just fun
snack to have.
Right. And then obviously all the snacky things, if it comes in like the clear Mylar bags, like you should eat it within a few months. Don't hoard it forever, because it's not meant to be long-term storage. It's only meant to be like tops, like 5-6 months at the most.
Yeah.
And even then, like if those aren't as puncture resistant, and you might have like micro perforations in them that you're unaware of, the humidity will ruin the food.
Yeah.
It'll get soft. And I'm not saying you'll know if it's not okay to eat. It'll be like moldy, it'll smell weird, whatever. But it's not crispy anymore. It's like chewy and soft. So yeah, just a little. You should eat that. Don't like hoard it, you know?
Yep.
Because I've had some people that are like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. It went soft or blah. I kept it in my car, but I had already opened it. And I'm like, yeah, this is what happens. I didn't know it would do that quickly. Like, I had trays of bananas. I had done like an entire order of bananas. So I'm talking like, I don't know, like 20 pounds. Well, then I had them sitting on the table, and I just let them sit there for a minute while I was doing other stuff. Well, it was during the summer, and it was very humid. And I went back, and they were all bendy. And I'm like, and I had to run them again and dry them. These are the things we learned.
See, those, I love the bananas just as a snack.
Right.
I really
They're
do
fun
those.
and crispy, like a marshmallow kind of, like a stale marshmallow. Yeah.
Those and the
like
strawberries.
Lucky Charms.
I wanted to say this real quick. If you're hearing a humming noise all of a sudden, we actually had shut the door. No, I'm going to keep it open because everything was overheating. But those are the sounds of your...
sounds of money being made.
There you go.
Right.
And you said those things run.
Those freeze dryers.
They're never off.
They never turn off, huh?
Never. Well, I mean, no. I don't think I ever turn them off, because they just defrost. And then they're right back in the game, shoving more stuff in there. Because honestly, like... it has gotten so much bigger than I anticipated. Like, somebody asked me one time, they were like, so how's your, like 1, 2, 5 year plan, whatever. They're like, how's that, going against what blah? And I was like, anything that I had expected is already surpassed.
Right. Yeah.
Long past.
That's
and I'm like, I mean, we're already doing like private label stuff. We're already, like everything is everything. People are reaching out to us to put our stuff in stores. Like, we're in Ugly Tent store in Kentucky. Or, Bombproof Bushcraft sells us in North Carolina. Some other guy's opening a store locally, actually, and he wants to put our stuff in his store. So it's just like crazy. But yeah, so those machines, they're always going, and I could use more of them, honestly. I could easily use like twice as many. It would make life okay.
That's awesome. I told her in the pre-interview, I'm like, I'm glad we're getting you now, as opposed to when you're
right when I'm
huge,
here,
you know what I mean?
Out there.
Right, and everybody's like, oh my God, you got to interview her. Wow, it's a big deal.
I know.
Right? Somebody was saying that, they were like, you're gonna be such a big deal, and I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I'm already tired. I was like, I can't imagine. I was like, we need to start hiring people. And,
well, when you get that big, you hire somebody else to do it for you.
And that's when you get to go relax.
I mean, just doing the the research on her and everything. I'm going to videos, I'm reading articles and everything.
It's
and
wild,
then when I came here and I saw, I was like, wow, you're like 10 times bigger than what that first video was.
Oh my gosh,
I was like, and it just growing and growing and growing to success. I'm very happy for you. You know?
Awesome.
Yeah. When we first started doing it, it was like, it wasn't, we weren't doing a ton. We were just doing like a little bit here and there. But it was also like, we had to learn a lot of things, because figuring out the businessy crap, like getting your tax ID number. And by the way, you can get it almost free. Don't let anyone charge you. Just figure it out on your own. Don't pay for that. Like, it makes me mad how many people are like scammers. Like, somebody was trying to charge my buddy like $5,000 to build his Shopify website. And I was like, we can do it for free. I was like, just bring your computer. But anyway. But yeah, it was just like, it started out just little, like doing little gun show crap. And then it quickly became much bigger, because at first I was doing it out of my house because, I wanted to test the waters before I got crazy. But even just that little bit, and then instantly we got the building, and then it's growing, and everybody reaches out to us and they're just like, hey, and it's such a weirdly friendly and aggressively let me be your friend and do stuff with you community. And you're just like, okay, yeah. And then you're just busy. Like, we already had our entire schedule booked out in probably like December of last year for this year. Wow. And a couple of people reached out and they're like, hey, can you do our event for this or that? And I was like, I'm sorry, we're already booked out. And they're just like, oh, but it's January. And I'm like, I know. Yeah. We're done. Sorry.
That's an awesome feeling, man.
It is. Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird. Because I didn't think it was going to be this quick or this big.
2 years, right?
And the 2 years. Very positive response, too.
That's good.
Yeah, very. Like, I don't think anyone has been mean to us. Like, the meanest thing somebody said was, it's not my favorite. And I was like,
that's enough.
Hate you. But no, it's been crazy, though. It's been so positive. It's bizarre. Because, you didn't think it would be like this. You thought it would be, I don't know, I guess a lot longer and more drawn out and painful. Not that I'm not, busy all the time, like all the time.
And it seems, just the little bit of conversation we've had so far, it seems like you've got a nice support group behind you as well.
For sure, yeah.
Like you said, there are some friends who are always going to be like, hey, I don't know if this is
right.
But as long as you...
Well, my friends John and Patty, they always go with me on the road.
Nice.
And they do events with me, so I appreciate them very much. My mom comes here and helps pack food and do labels and all kinds of stuff. Other people come and help pack depending on how serious it gets, because sometimes we got to have like all hands on deck situation because it just gets wild. Because, depending on if somebody does any kind of crazy, super... reviewy online thing, all of a sudden our website gets destroyed and we're in the middle of preparing for an event. So it's like, oh my gosh, and then you gotta have more people to come help and make it happen. But they're great people. Just some shout outs, my stepdad helps schlep crap around and,
Well, we hope this is another moment where once this airs, you get a few more orders on that day as well.
It'll be great.
Moving forward.
Yeah. I need to get you the list of states. I know I still need Alaska and Michigan.
Come on, Michigan, you're right next to us.
That's what I was like.
Come on.
Right. I've already had like California. The entire West Coast is pretty much done other than the Dakotas, which I don't know. And like Alaska.
Do people live there?
Yeah, right. I don't know. Well, I was talking to somebody. I was talking to somebody and I was like, we should go out to the Dakotas and do an event. And I was like, I don't think anyone is real there. And I'm like,
I'm sure there'll be 6 or 7.
Right. I'm saying there's got to be something.
There'll be something.
I feel like that's such a big,
it's the same with Michigan. There's got to be someone. Right. Someone has to be out.
Right. I know like we have hunters that go out and do stuff. Like they get food from us and go on their elk hunting. Right. Some people go bear hunting. I'm not a supporter of that, but whatever.
Yeah, another thing I mentioned walking through here, I noticed you
love bears.
Do like the bears.
A lot. They're everywhere because there's like a little bear right there holding some honey pot.
That one back there.
There's a bear on our logo. And then there's a big bear. You got it on the video, right? Where it like looks like he wants you to pick him up and he's on the wall, the decal. Yeah, I love the bears. But we have hunters that come to our stuff and they're like, hey, we need this and this and this. We're going blah. And then I love it when people send pictures back of their adventures. Love it. Yeah. Because they're like, this is what we're doing while we're eating our food. And I'm like, yes, it's so fun. Like somebody had like this, they had made their own little like stove thing. I don't know. And it was inside the tent and it has like a pipe that goes out through and they were like cooking up and a little fire in there. I was like, okay. All right. But no, it's cool. I love when they send their adventures because I'm like, this is great. Because, we want to see what you're doing with it. And,
Well, we had spoke about it in the pre-interview that we're going to figure out some sort of giveaway, the JP podcast and Swartz Foods. We're going to have some sort of giveaway. So please stay tuned for something like that. We haven't figured out the details yet, but we're going to make it worthwhile. So it's either going to be ordering something online for her or, a comment or something, but just, keep an eye out for it. But
It'll probably be like a Swartz Foods tote full of deliciousness.
There you go. There you go.
And then we are looking to do a part 2 as well.
Definitely.
Yes.
We're doing little trials here and there.
Yeah, we're definitely
it is good.
We're going to do a product review, and so it's going to be a whole month of Swartz Foods for
nice,
isn't it?
Yeah. I think people like it, especially if you have like a diverse group. Try it. Yeah. It's more fun because they like. So the cheesecake especially, because when people try it, it's not what you expect the texture to be. It's like very dry, like a shortbread cookie at first. So they put it in their mouth, and it's always the same reaction. Everybody's like, oh, and they're like chewing it, and then all of a sudden your mouth rehydrates it and it becomes creamy cheesecake again. And you see their face change, like, oh, okay, you know. So that one's fun. It gets a good reaction. Yeah.
All right, so want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Because we can go on for hours,
for sure, yeah, we
hours
can
and
talk about
hours.
this.
But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'm already thinking we're coming back for
Yeah, why
definitely for a part 2 besides a product review. If you have any comments, I'll put them in the comment down there. Don't forget to like and subscribe and
hit those notifications. Anything we can do to help the channel, and also go to the website that we'll be leaving there and give Swartz Food a try.
yeah, give it a try. We're going to put up all the links, and it's not that we're trying to cut it, but we were talking behind the scenes. We can go on for hours and hours.
Yeah.
You know, and Heather is a fantastic personality, and she's an awesome woman. And I'm looking forward to trying your food. You know what I mean? If it's anything, any little bit of what you are, it's going to be fantastic. Also, you know. So
nice.
We hope you guys like the show, and
Say goodbye.
Right.
Why don't you say
okay,
something?
we'll see you later.
Right.
You know, we'll see you later.